Nintendo Switch. A lot of games were announced at E3. We finally got games like Life is Strange finally being ported to the Switch. But there were still a lot of popular games that are still not on the Switch. Why is this an issue? Do we really need these games on the Switch? People are going to say, no, we do not. But I say these games need to be ported. So the first game that I am shocked that isn't on the Switch is GTA 5. GTA 5 is one of the biggest games in the world. And people say it's not on the Switch because it's too weak, or it's too inappropriate for the Switch. But we have games like The Witcher 3 and Saints Row the Third being ported to the Switch. Why is GTA 5 not on the Switch? It's on the PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PC, and the next generation of consoles. Why isn't it on the Switch? And people say graphical issues. But they got The Witcher 3 way on the Switch. And this game was able to run on the PS3 and Xbox 360. There was no excuse to not port this game to the Switch, Rockstar. No excuse to not port GTA 5 on the Switch. The next game is Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is a very huge game. And for some reason, Fallout 4, or at least Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, are not on the Switch. The only Fallout game that is on the Switch currently is Fallout Shelter. And yeah, it's still Fallout Shelter. Why isn't Fallout 4 on the Switch? No one knows why. But you have lots of other games, like The Witcher 3, again, ported to the Switch. But Fallout 4 is not on the Nintendo Switch is completely surprising. And it probably won't happen considering Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda. Wouldn't be surprised if it was planned, but they just didn't get off the ground, which is just stupid. This game should have been ported to the Switch, basically. People have already put the game on the Switch using hacked machines, and it worked perfectly fine. Why is the Switch exempt from having Fallout 4? They even have the Mii costume for the Vault Boy from Fallout and Smash Bros. But they don't have Fallout 4 on the Switch? It makes zero sense at this one. Another game that makes zero sense is still not on the Switch yet is Persona 5. No, I'm not talking about the Persona 5 spin-offs like Persona 5 Strikers and Persona 5 Royale and Persona 5 Scramble. Whereas we all know Persona 5 Strikers and Scramble is on the Switch. But why isn't the original version of Persona 5 on the Switch? Even an eShop release would be nice, so it could distract people away from Persona 5 Strikers and Scramble. But why isn't the original version of Persona 5 not on the Switch? I know Persona 5 Royale is going to probably be ported to the Switch, and Persona 5 Strikers / Scrambles is definitely on the Switch. But why is the original version of Persona 5 not on the Switch? Why? Why isn't the original version of Persona 5 on the Switch? This still baffles me to this day, considering they put the main character Joker, not the guy from the Batman series, but the character Joker from Persona 5 in Super Smash Bros. This is just completely odd and strange why this game is still not on the Switch, and yet Persona 5 Scrambles on the Switch, but the original versions of Persona 5 are not on the Switch. I can see why the original versions are on the Switch, but Persona 5 Royale, there's no excuse for that one. Okay? No excuse for that one. Especially after they put the game on the other consoles. So, yeah, Persona 5, very, very, very odd. This is not on the Switch. And Persona 5 is a hugely popular game as well, being the best-selling Persona game in all history, even earning a spot in Super Smash Bros. So, yeah. Number 4, games that should be on the Switch. Call of Duty. Activision, why are you being this stupid? Call of Duty was on every Nintendo console until the Wii U came out. But ever since then, Call of Duty is not on Nintendo anymore. Why is this the case? No one knows why. Okay, considering that we have games like Overwatch, The Witcher 3, and other big popular franchises, you'd think that they'll probably bring Call of Duty back on the Nintendo Switch, or at least Call of Duty Warzone at least. But no, we don't even have Call of Duty Warzone on the Switch. Even the PS Vita had a Call of Duty game. But the Switch, there's still no official Call of Duty game. I think that any of the Call of Duty games coming out could be fine. The next Call of Duty game could be fine. And of course, obviously the hugely popular Call of Duty Warzone, I think would be a perfect fit for the Switch, because it's also available on mobile. Why isn't Call of Duty Warzone on the Switch is completely odd. Call of Duty Warzone is available on every console, but the Switch. This is just completely odd in itself, because Call of Duty Warzone is on every other console. They even port Apex Legends on the Switch, Overwatch, and similar games to Call of Duty Warzone. But this is not on the Switch for some reason. Even though Call of Duty Warzone is able to be played on every console, except for Nintendo Switch, which is completely stupid. Even there's a mobile version of Call of Duty Warzone, which is just stupid. Why isn't this game on the Switch? Is completely and utterly baffling to me. Okay. The next game that is not on the Switch, as I'm surprised it isn't. Number 5. The next game that is surprisingly not on the Switch is Tekken 7. Tekken 7, this is basically because of the new Smash announcement. Tekken 7 is still not on the Nintendo Switch. There was actually a petition to put the game on the Switch. The game even got a 3D game. The last games even came on the 3DS and the Wii U. So Tekken 7's absence on the Switch is just very odd. You even put Pokken Tournament on the Switch, which is still like Tekken, but we want the real deal on the Switch. Considering that they put a Tekken character in Smash Bros, but you still can't play a single Tekken game on the Switch, it's just laughable to say at least. Nintendo should really do better with third-party developers, and graphics should not be an excuse, considering they did port Witcher free, and Tekken 7 should be far less of a hassle than putting Tekken 7 on the Switch. And Namco even works with Smash Bros. Why can't they just port Tekken 7 to the Switch? It makes no sense. The next game on the list that is surprisingly not on the Switch is Monster Hunter World. Oh wait, we already have Monster Hunter Rise, which is basically Monster Hunter World for the Switch. Skipping that game. The real number 6 is... Number 6, we have Jedi Fallen Order. Why is this game not on the Switch? Well, the reason why this game's not on the Switch is because EA is an asshole of a company. We all know EA sucks, but this would have been like one of the few exceptions. This game will probably work perfectly on the Switch. But of course, EA is being EA and did not want to port the game on the Switch. Nobody knows why they refuse to port this game to the Switch. The same thing can be said of a game like Battlefront 2. That game would have been an easy game that could have been ported in 2018. But EA, they don't want to suck up the extra development time. The same thing can be said with the other franchise that EA owns, and that is Battlefield. Battlefield is not on Nintendo Switch. Same thing on Call of Duty. But Overwatch is on the Switch, Paladins, and various other games. But Battlefield is not on the Nintendo console. And the weird thing is about it, Battlefield is being ported to the Stadia, which can be played on your phone. You're telling me that Battlefield can't be won on the Switch, but can be won on your phone. This makes absolutely and totally no sense, but they could at least put the game on like a cloud device like they did with a game like Control. There was no excuse for Battlefield, for at least Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1 to be ported to the Switch, especially considering that there was much that still was scared about Star Wars Battlefront. There was no excuse to not port this game to the Switch. But again, it is EA, and EA does suck. So, yep, the next game that I'm surprised is not ported to the Switch yet. Number 7. Number 7 games that I'm surprised is not ported to the Switch is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Why is this game not on the Switch yet? They put it on the Xbox One and the PS4, and probably an Xbox Series X and PS5, coming soon most likely. The fact that this is on the Switch, the fact that Fortnite's already on the Switch and has been on the Switch since 2018, but its competitor PUBG isn't on the Switch, and PUBG is not really a graphically impressive game. If graphics are the main concern, why isn't this game on the Switch? This game isn't really graphically impressive. And they don't even have to port the PS4 and Xbox One version. They can just port PUBG Mobile to the Switch. That could obviously work. But of course, PUBG Corp is just stupid and refuses to port the game to the Switch, which makes zero sense because the game should be on the Switch. The next game that should be on the Switch is Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was produced at the end of the lifetime of the PS4 and Xbox One. But Borderlands 1 and 2 are on the Switch. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game does come to the Switch. But Borderlands 3 is not on the Switch for some reason. But the first 3 games are on the Switch. And I think the games will be able to run. I think Borderlands 3 will probably be perfectly able to run on the Switch. Because the first 3 games, which are very similarly graphically demanding, are able to run on the Switch as well. Perfectly fine. Borderlands 2 is even able to run on the PS Vita of all consoles. So these games are not really the most graphically demanding games on the consoles. Considering that the first 3 games are on the console, it makes perfect sense that they'll take the next step and put the next Borderlands game on the Nintendo Switch. Number 9. So one of the most popular ongoing games is Destiny 2. And Destiny 2 is not on the Nintendo Switch, and Bungie made a very weird and stupid reason why the game isn't coming on the console. Again, they said the game wouldn't work on Nintendo consoles because we're too much of a wimp to put the games on the console. Basically, that's what they admitted. But they sort of at least ported it a few years later, after the Switch was doing very well. But they said maybe next year, but the game has been out for 4 years now. And again, you can excuse COVID-19, but there's no excuse why this game hasn't been ported to the Switch yet. They said the game was not going to come on the Switch when the console came out, but they said maybe it'll come. It has been 4 years and still there's no port of Destiny 2 on the Switch, which makes no sense. It is a strange. Again, Nintendo does have to try to recover their, relationships with third-party companies. But we already have companies like Activision, not really Activision, Blizzard willing to port their games on the Switch. Even Overwatch 2 wants this alongside the next-gen counterparts. And of course Bethesda, before they were bought by Microsoft, definitely willing to work with port games like Doom Eternal on Nintendo consoles. I bet this would have been the same with Starfield before Microsoft bought that and made it an Xbox exclusive. But Destiny 2 is still not on the Switch. And also I think this is probably also due to the problems of Activision. Yep, Activision is the developer of the game. Blizzard is not all of Activision. Activision refuses to also put Call of Duty Warzone on the Switch for some odd and strange reason. The same thing applies to Destiny 2. Why isn't Destiny 2 on the Switch despite it being a very popular game on Steam and being able to be run on the PS4, Xbox One, and the next generation of consoles? Why isn't this on the Nintendo Switch? This doesn't make any sense. And this is why it's very hard for someone to be a Nintendo fan. This is why a lot of people who want to play AAA games but only have a Nintendo console have to buy another console. Because this is why. The game developers are just stupid, basically. The last game we're going to be talking about that isn't on the Nintendo Switch is an actual Nintendo game. Yep. There is 2 glaring omissions, and that is Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2. Yes, these are not third-party games. But why is only Pikmin 3 on the Switch, Nintendo? Why is only Pikmin 3 on the Switch? I think everybody would have been fine if they just put Pikmin 3 on the Switch and just did straight-up eShop ports of Pikmin 1 and 2. I did buy Pikmin 3 Deluxe, of course, but this is just lazy Nintendo. You didn't even acknowledge the first 2 games even existing? So people don't really, especially considering how hard it is to get the first 2 games. Why isn't Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch? The world may never know. And this is just baffling me to this day. And I was hoping that at E3, Nintendo would say, you know what, you can buy the first 2 Pikmin games for like $20 in the eShop. I think that would have been a very, very perfectly acceptable thing. With no changes from the GameCube version or the controls, they could have easily made ports of Pikmin 1 and 2 accessible to everybody. But they're not going to do that for some weird and odd reason. So there we go. About 10 popular games that still have been ported on the Switch. There are lots of more popular games that are still not on the console for some odd reasons. But I put the biggest glaring omissions on the Switch. So, and yeah, request any franchises to be done. Oh wait, there's Final Fantasy 15. That's not on the Switch yet either. Goodbye.